that's
Good
good. We
one.
should show. But we have this new sign. Hello and welcome to our July edition of Coffee and Kolache. And I'm so excited because we're happy 4th of July belated as we celebrate democracy and freedom throughout our wonderful country and thank our ancestors who fought for us so we can be in this wonderful country. So happy belated 4th of July. But I want to show you our new sign that we will continue to have, Kava and Kolache, and we'll have it each month. This is a sign and a gift from the museum in Temple, Texas. They made it for us in Temple, Texas, and Brian Vanacek, who's the president of the group there, who not only the museum that they have there, but he also is very active in the fraternal group there, and he gave this to us. So now we have our official coffee and Kolache, Kava and Kolache sign that we have. So thanks to Brian and thanks to everyone in Temple, Texas, and to Sharon Schweitzer who sent it to us, so we didn't have to pay postage. So thank you very much. And as we get ready at the end to have these wonderful look at, I've already still got mine, and look at Jacob. But today is a very special program. Jacob Lesson, who is our a lifelong learning education specialist, and who actually grew up in Bratislava, who speaks Slovak better than I do, and who also, more importantly, is a Slovak citizen and an American citizen. So he has dual citizenship, and he has a background in music. His family's very musical. His parents are continuing to be missionaries in Bratislava, so they continue to live there. How many years?
I think about 26 years now.
Wow, so they really
yeah.
love Slovakia, and that's great. We're so happy about that. And we're very happy here with our family.
I'm very blessed to join.
And he also plays the viola.
Viola, yep.
Right,
Viola.
so we even have a musician amongst us, so that's really great. And we have a lot of musicians in the audience as well here. So today we're going to talk about our first step of a dream that we've had here. And we would like for the National Czech and Slovak Museum in the summer to be a real hub for classes. So people could come from all over the country, even all over the world, and take classes here for 1 week. And so our first ones are going to be offered soon, and Jacob is going to tell us all about them. So this is our first step of a long-term summer class kind of program that we want to have. and this is our first one, so it's all yours.
All right. So this summer is our very first class, as Celia said, and what we're doing is classes on folk art and craft, kind of preserving the culture of the Czech and Slovak, because they despite like so many years of oppression, they really have just a really rich culture of art and design for hundreds of years. And so this painting here was done by a lady named Maria Shirgova, and she is from the Czech region, Moravia. And she trained a whole group of artists in creating kind of these folk motifs passed down for generations. And there's like different elements. There's like I think this is an apple, a tulip heart. There's different forms. And then these are snails. They're kind of all abstracted. You can see the different.
There's even
forms.
like an owl, I think, almost. Owl.
I think it's a tulip. This is a type of tulip. This is a type of tulip. Then this is the Slavonic rose. And there's different rules of colors of combination. And so we're going to have a week-long class on how to make a painting of these. But then one thing that I really like appreciate about Czech and Slovak art is they make everything about that they have art. They make their clothing art. They make their what they used to eat art, or what they used to eat out of art, like plates and cups and things. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to have a whole class, not just on making the paintings, which are more like kind of a formal way to formalize the art, but also like painting wine glasses and painting the designs on tea towels and napkins and coasters and things like that.
So people have an opportunity to take 1 week of classes,
yes,
or every day or every other day.
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
So where can they find out about it?
So if you go onto the website, the museum website, and you click on visit, and then you click on events and all events, and you can scroll down through, and it's July, 24th of July is when the classes start, and they're 24th to the 30th, and you can click on which classes you want to sign up for. There's the week-long class, and then there's 6 individual classes where you can sign up if you want to just do one day for an afternoon. You can do that, and they're each day is about 3.5 hours, just to give you time to create a product and take it home with you.
So the neat thing is take something like this.
Yes.
You can take as big and hang it on your wall. You
Yep.
can also get a wine glass and even
Yeah.
cups,
Yep.
and saucers and details, and they're yours. And you can have them.
Yeah.
And you can be the artist, which is really great, right?
Yep. Yep. And you can also like, it's not just like art that you created, but it's also Moravian art. Like it's authentic to the region that it's from. The artist will teach you the color rules, the forms, the different kinds of motifs and how to create them. Each one has different variations. As you can see, there are like 2 different types of tulips. Each artist kind of adds some of their own stuff while keeping to the traditional color form.
And we have 2 artists actually coming from the so they're going to answer it. They were students of and Maria was here right before the pandemic, February. I don't remember her. I was here with Dr. Benajova, who actually did my hair. Some hair. She's also a hairdresser.
Oh, wow.
In Moravia. And so Dasha and Maria were here at halfway. She was 86. So lovely, lovely. And I would often go see her. And her town, which is in Moravia, southern Moravia, there are, every building on the doorway has this painting, and on the different street signs they have this kind of painting. And we have now a wonderful display, and I want to shout out to Moravia Krasa, which is a group started by one of our board members here, Monica Ventrilikova, and Dasha and Maria were instrumental in bringing this group together in the southern part of Moravia. And that's a beautiful region if you ever go there, because it's called the Slovačko region. And Slovačko is kind of a combination between Slovakia and Moravia. And they're full of these kinds of paintings. You see people with shirts on.
Yeah, they'll paint them.
Right, yeah. So once you learn this art form, and all the supplies
all the supplies are furnished by us, so you don't have to bring any supplies. You just show up, take the class and go home with a product. So,
And
yeah.
so we hope that, our listening audience will spread the word. And we do have people coming from all states, right? Different states.
Yeah, one lady is coming for like a whole week taking all the classes. So yeah, it's kind of a fun. You can do everything. You can do one thing. You can choose.
And so this will be sort of thanks to Jacob and Morasca Carasa for providing the teachers for us. We're able now to have authentic teachers come here, and someday our people may get so good that we can be the teachers as well.
That's what we're hoping. Yeah.
And so we really hope that you'll spread the word on this. And something that's kind of interesting about this is that this is, like you were mentioning, an age-old tradition.
Yes.
To have this painting on doorways and in your houses and all over. So it's really very exciting. And so tea towels, you said, wine glasses, dishes, what else?
We'll do coasters and
Trivets for like if you want to put a coaster under your coffee cup or something like that. We're gonna t-shirts. So we'll do like the design on a t-shirt. We're doing wooden plaques, so like circles or squares of wood that you can turn into a clock face if you buy a clock kit. That we aren't doing that, but or you can just hang it up on your walls like a little miniature painting, kind of miniature version of that. Wow, I can't remember the rest, but I know it's a lot of them. Yeah.
And if you have any questions, because our website to go through it can be a bit complicated sometimes, just give Jacob a call.
Yeah, you can always call the museum to sign up too, and I can
call the
I can
museum
sign people up.
and they'll connect you. So just call our general number and ask for Jacob Lesson. And if you speak Czechoslovak, he'll understand you too, right?
Hey, trošku.
Yeah, in Slovakia we always say hey, or next to pachi.
Oh yeah.
But in the Czech Republic, I know.
Yep.
Okay, so that would be great. And we hope that you'll pass it on to your children, your family members, because this could even be a fun thing. Somebody reminded me the other day that she was going to tell her sisters, and they were going to take it together as a group of girlfriends or a group of family members.
And you really can make it like take as much with it as you want. Like you don't have to be good at drawing or painting because they'll have the designs. You can trace them. You can practice drawing them, but you don't have to be good at drawing or painting to do it, which I think is so cool. Because you can learn it without necessarily having to know how to perfectly copy all those intricate patterns.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because when Maria was here and we had an exhibit, now we have another exhibit of these artists, is they take a light pencil and they, with the stencils drawn on there, and then you paint it. So it really is, quite, I won't say easy, but it's manageable.
It's more manageable, and so you can create the artwork, and then later, as you have time, learn how to make it by hand, freehand, but we'll have the stencils ready for it.
And then we have some, I think, books in our store, museum.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we have 2 workbooks in the store that kind of breaks down each individual motif, because this looks like a lot to do. It's really complicated, but it really is simple, really simple designs. Each unit has a special name. The apple, the tulip, the onion, the snail, and each has like really traditional meaning. And the workbook will show you maybe 10 versions of the apple that you can do. And you can choose which version you like best or add your own decorations. And then also tells you, okay, what color combinations are kind of appropriate to pair with each other.
Right, the yellows, the greens, and the blues, they're usually very active. And if you look at our exhibit now that we have on display, this Moravska Krasa, the Moravian motif, and it's really incredible. You'll see a lot of heart designs. There's even one with roosters, right?
Yeah, they'll have birds and
So
I think doves maybe too.
Right. So, and this is very, very traditional. If you go back to probably your great grandparents, they all use these kinds of dishes. I know my great grandparents did. They used the blue onion, especially the blue onion. And so, but that's sort of like where's something here that looks like an onion. That almost looks
it
like
might be. I'm not sure if this is an apple or an onion. And sometimes I'm still learning of myself how to distinguish the different ones. Yeah.
But it's really incredible, and it hangs beautifully, whether you want something this big or you want something smaller. It's a nice conversation piece in your house.
Yeah, it is. And really, like, in the modern world, we've gotten so industrial that everything is made like as cheaply and as efficiently as possible. And so we've kind of lost the sense of making everything about life art, which I think this is a really beautiful continuation of that, where you have the opportunity to make things that you use art. It doesn't have to be just at a gallery that we go and see when we're not watching TV. it can actually be something in our homes that we use on a day-to-day basis.
And what a great conversation piece too, when you have guests over, or when you have family, just to talk about that this is part of our tradition. And
Yeah.
if you're not Czech or Slovak, that's okay too, because you can learn from it. It's so beautiful that people
Yeah.
just like it because it is so beautiful. So,
Yeah, and like each culture has their own modus, and it's really cool to see how sometimes there's universal aspects to the concept of motives to all cultures. So,
yeah, you start to see that common,
Mhm.
interesting. Now we do have any questions from our audience here or from our listening audience? Any questions? Yes. Any questions? You can post them if you're online. You can go ahead and post them. Any questions for our people here? Okay, well then we could talk a little bit about sort of just the Moravian and Slovak cultures, how they're committed to this kind of color and art. You've seen that probably more than anybody.
Well, they do a good job, kind of how we have Renaissance fairs. They'll have cultural festivals. They'll often call them Hodi or something like that.
Yeah, Hodi, that was
Hodi,
one, right, Hodi festival.
Not Hobie days, but Hodi, like Hody. And then I feel like there might be some other names they use, but Hody is the one that stands
Right.
out to me. And people will dress up in the kroja. There will be wood carvers and potters, and they'll kind of make a celebration and have booths where you can go and explore different things. They'll do folk dancing, which is really cool because they'll wear the kroja and dance. to
Right,
that.
and I think, again, going back to that region of Moravia and Slovakia, I think they're probably a little bit more invested in these
Yeah,
festivals,
yeah.
in what we would call the Czechia part, or Bohemia, if you want.
Mhm.
They have them too, but I think you see more of them in Moravia and in Slovakia.
I actually didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, you really
okay.
do have, you have more of them. There's a Hodi almost every weekend in Moravia, and there's a festival almost every weekend in Slovakia. That, they do have them in what we would call Bohemia too,
Yeah.
like in Pilsen and those, but you don't see as many as
Yeah.
you do, and certainly not in
Yeah.
Prague.
I think the rural communities do a better job at preserving the traditions. The big cities pare it down to more just the drinking aspect.
Yeah, right. The drinking, absolutely.
But the rural communities and the smaller villages, they really maintain the traditions with it, and the artwork and the crafts and everything.
And again, like I said, in Lanjot and in those communities
Mhm.
around Buslav, you see much more of this traditional. They're starting to wear this on motifs just for regular clothing. You'll see a
Mhm.
little bit of a
Yeah.
patchwork on a men's shirt,
Yeah.
or you'll see on a blouse for women. And it's not necessarily to wear with kroy, but it's just to wear.
Yeah, it's modern, normal clothing, which it's encouraging to see them finding ways to maintain those traditions even in the modern industrial age.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was at a supermarket in Slovakia,
Mhm.
and I saw them and I went crazy. They had men's shirts, and they had, different Czech and Slovak motifs on them.
Mhm.
They had a Volashka, which is the official Volashka, like it's the shepherd's axe,
Mhm.
and axe. And then they had ones with hearts, which is very traditional, and flowers. And they were great men's shirts. They had one left in a small size. I was gonna, because that would have been a great example for somebody that does embroidery, and
Yeah.
then they had for little children with little designs, and they
Yeah.
were almost sold out. So people at least are going back to buying that, and
Mhm.
hopefully, so let's talk a little bit about your vision, Jacob, to start these workshops on an
Mhm.
annual basis. So this is our first one, and what are some other ones that we see for the future?
So I'm
For
going
next year.
to be making a trip to Slovakia to contact, see how many artists and musicians I can contact there. Because what we really want to do is not just like the paintings, but also things like wood carving, and even I think it would be really cool to do a class on making kroja, like, because there's so many wildflowers in Iowa that we could use to make motifs from that kind of combines the American story and the Czech and Slovak story. Because there's so many people who, like, maybe their grandparents had kroja, but they don't themselves have one, and I think that would be so cool to do like a kroja class. And then also like the folk dancing, bringing in the musicians and some instructors, I think would be really cool on that.
learning to do folk dancing, I think would really, Iowa needs a couple of folk dance troupes. I know we have one,
Mhm.
but we could even do some adult ones, you know.
Mhm.
In Tabor, South Dakota, we have 234 people that dance. Was it more, Michelle, or is it still that many?
It's about that many.
They're dancing of all ages, and I'd love to see us do more of that.
Yeah.
And the croy making, we've been working on, I'm glad to see that you're going to think about that, because I think if we had a croy making workshop, the outcome from the week would be that you would make a croy.
Mhm.
That would be, you know.
That might be a little bit ambitious for a week.
Yeah, you know, I think, I looked into seeing, we could rent sewing machines.
Uh-huh.
And if we did if we had motifs so they could just sew them on, you know?
Oh, yeah, like the embroidery sewing
Right,
machines.
yeah,
That would be, I
yeah,
think, more doable, yeah.
So, because in a week, if you spent 6 hours a day making it, I think we could make it.
I think we could make it in a week, yeah.
Yeah, and we have men's and women's.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Because Iowa does not have a croy. This is
Mhm.
something, you know,
No, no.
Nebraska does, Tabor
Mhm.
does.
Mhm.
We need our own croy.
Yeah, we do.
Texas does, you know, so we need to get a croy that's an Iowa croy. I can already see, can't you see an ear of corn on it?
Yes,
I could see
definitely,
the other corn on
maybe
there.
rather than two birds, two pigs.
Too bad, the pigs might be more, that would be, yeah. But we can be creative, we have
Yeah,
different
oh, yeah.
choices.
Mhm.
But definitely, I think the corn has to be.
Oh, yeah,
Because
definitely.
again, when they think of Iowa, I keep getting at, but we really are the center of America.
Mhm.
And where immigrants came because there were jobs related to food,
Mhm.
with meat
Yep,
packing
meat
and
packing,
Quaker Oats.
Quaker Oats farmland.
And farm,
A
free
lot of
farm.
farmland.
So that's really an idea, and when you go there, that's what we are about. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it makes sense, even in Slovakia, because there's
Mhm.
farmland there. And there's a lot of corn
Yeah.
in both countries, so that.
I mean, in Slovakia, they have on the Kroja, they have grapevines, because winemaking is a huge industry
Right,
there.
right.
Both on a industrial level and on a, like, person-to-person basis. And so here it's corn on an industrial level and individuals, so.
And, you know, the pig idea is nothing bad, because, you know, pork is still the main diet.
That was more of a joke, but.
But, you know, even maybe having a little pig with some corn, well, that would be individual, they could
Yeah,
design their,
yeah.
they could design their own.
Mhm.
So that's exciting. So to our viewing audience and to the people here today, this is a vision that we were hoping, and then the pandemic hit us, but now we really can. So
Yeah.
maybe 3 or 4 classes a year
Mhm.
that we would bring people here. It would be good for Cedar Rapids tourism too.
Yeah, it would be.
And people get used to coming here to know that they could do. But the key is that they would have some tangible product or education that they could take with them, whether it's music, or whether it's a croy, or whether it's a
Mhm.
painting,
Yep.
or whether it's a tea towel that they,
Yeah.
I did that in Cedar Rapids, Iowa,
Mhm.
and they could spread the word.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
any questions that have come up? Yes,
What
please.
else is on the agenda for future events?
Okay, well, that's great. So we've got, the question was, what else is on the agenda for future events? Well, this is very big. And then, of course, we do have our Garnet exhibit that opened
Mhm.
on June 17th. And that is huge, because if you haven't been to it yet, we invite you to come. It'll be here till January 2024.
January 14.
2024. But you can actually dig for a garnet. There's a place in there where we have a box, and you can, if you find a garnet, you can keep it. So, and this is the last time, and it was confirmed, that this exhibit will ever be out of the Czech Republic. So it'll become part of the permanent collection at the National Museum. So that's important, that we're gonna get the last site here in Cedar Rapids. Then, of course, in September, we have our annual Brunost, September 15th. And it'll be bigger and better than ever, so we invite everybody to mark their calendars for the Brunost. And be sure you register. We are going to again have the trip to Czech Republic. We got the hotel confirmed when I was there, and the trip. So everything is ready for the big Brunost trip to, and staying at the Rod Hotel, which is in downtown Prague, right by the Orloj. And so that's coming up. And then we have, of course, our Old World Christmas Market the first weekend in December, but we will hopefully start this fall on the Orloj. And while we were in the Czech Republic now, we got to see the Orloj from the inside. Crawled up steps this narrow, but it was amazing to see the Orloj. It has been functioning for hundreds of years and without much difficulty. And so we will have the engineer of the Orloj for the one in Prague will be our designer. So we met with him, and then the figurines are going to be 8 figurines representing immigration but we will have the opportunity to change them. So at Christmas, we can put St. Nicholas there, maybe in the Devil and the Angel. And so we can change 3 or 4 of them throughout the year. So that'll be very nice. And then, so that's hopefully going to start this fall, the Orloy project, and that'll take 1 year.
The lecture?
Yes, July 14th, so next week, we're going to have a lecture from Karolina Krifnerova, and she's a Fulbright scholar, and she'll be presenting on architecture solutions that Europe has for like homelessness, architecture and homelessness kind of as the topic. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah, she's really very, very, and the fact she was at Fulbright, she's coming here, which is very nice. So we invite you, you want to give the details, it's the 14th?
July 14th at 6 p.m. In the Hempel Theater. So, yeah.
So, and she's really, I've met her, she's incredible,
Yeah.
very, and she's, because, you know, it's interesting, in our homelands, the Czech and Slovak republics, there's that much homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so they are addressing it, and she's looking at homelessness here and what we can learn from each other and how we can address it maybe in the United States.
Yeah.
So it should be really interesting. Yeah, that should be good. And then we have coming up, stay tuned because there may be some musicians, we never know what's going to be in New York when they
Yeah,
send them to
yep.
us. So we, you know, watch our website. 'Cause
They
you
kind of
never
just
know.
pop up, and sometimes it's really like international gems of performance.
Right, we don't know how lucky we are to get those,
Yeah.
yeah, we really are. And so that may be coming up. And then tonight, today's Friday,
Yes.
if any of you want to drive to Spillville, Iowa, the day that I left for Europe, I get a call from Lukasz Dvorak, who may be a descendant of Antonin. And he wanted to play the piano here or the organ in Spillville. Well, I was leaving and I didn't want to, you know, that'd be too much here. So I called Spillville and he's going to present a concert tonight at 7 o'clock in Spillville on the organ. So the Czech Heritage has arranged for that. So that's kind so again, if you see what your National Museum is trying to do, is to try to bridge that between what's happening in our homelands as well as here.
Yep.
Because that's really important. And something significant that happened while I was in Europe is that I was invited to be part of an international conference of national museums. And they had only 2 from the Czech and Slovak republics, one in Prague, I'm gonna start crying, and the one in Bratislava, and they said, we need to include our 3rd national museum in the world, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So I will be one of the 3 keynoters on that. So it'll be the one from Prague, the one from Bratislava, and us. So that's really, really great. That's that we, thanks to everyone, have really acclaimed to become now the National Museum.
The National Museum.
So that's
yep.
really, we were always, but this is now recognition by.
From their end.
From
yeah.
their end,
Yeah.
And 2 exhibits that are coming up that are very exciting. One is this fall, 30 Years of Independence. It's being put together by the Slovak National Museum for us. And it'll then be a traveling exhibit. And it talks about what's happened in the 30 years since the 2 countries split. And so that's coming from the National Museum. And next year, the National Museum in Bratislava is doing one for us on Stefanik because it's a big birth, something, anniversary of Stefanik. And that'll be here, and then they'll give it to us again as a traveling exhibit. And they've asked us now to do one on famous, or just Slovak Americans. So we're gonna do one for them on Slovak Americans. So at least we're exchanging so that there's a presence there from both sides.
Yeah.
So any other final words or any questions from anybody?
I have a question.
Yes.
Where is the Orloy going to be situated?
Great
In
question.
The clock tower out front.
Okay.
Yep. I think they're gonna change, right now the doors are facing the river. I think they're gonna change them to be more facing the town.
No, facing us.
Or facing-
It'll face us. So
Face
when-
us, yeah, okay.
So because they did
Yeah.
that for 2 reasons. One is the traffic flow, so that people won't be standing, it'll be where the green space is, you know, so that'll be facing us, the Orloy. But all 4 sides will have a clock, a functioning clock, but the Orloy itself will be facing us.
Yeah, with the
Great.
statues coming out.
Nice idea.
Yeah, so this will be, there are only 4, there's an Orloy in Prague, one in Starabistrice in Slovakia, one in South Korea, and us. So that'll be really exciting to have an Orloy, so watch for that. We're hoping
Yes.
it'll take a year, only a year.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But, so the clock mechanism will be digital. It will not be the old-fashioned, we couldn't do that anymore, so it'll all be digital. And that'll be out of the Czech Republic from the people that do the Orloy now. And the statues are coming from Slovakia. So it truly will be a Czech and Slovak
Oh,
Orloy.
how nice.
Wow.
So it'll be down. Yes, Michelle?
Will it just be a clock or will it be something?
It's an
other?
astrolab. It's an astro, so it will be the astro, it's a clock, but it's an astrolab. That's why it's an orloy, because part of it will be with, synced with the sun and the moon. Great question. Anything else from our questions? Anything else, Logan? No? Okay. Well, any last words? I'll give you the last word.
Well, thank you for coming, and again, I would highly recommend seeing our first cultural preservation art class, and have a blessed weekend.
And thank you, and please pass the word along that we like to
Yes.
get packed classes for this
Oh,
first
yes.
one.
Mhm.
And the prices are extremely reasonable.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Really reasonable,
Mhm.
so, we'll see you all then. See you
right.
next month for coffee and kolache. Kava kolache.
All right.
Now we can eat our kolache.
Yes.
So, dobro kut.
Dobry gut. Oh, you're all.
Thank you all.